Now, as vegetable growers, what we really need to be thinking about is growing something which is called the Trinity. And our Trinity consists of things like garlic, onions, and depending on your viewpoint, either tomatoes or peppers and chili peppers. Now, if we're thinking about this Trinity, these are the things which we most often use in a lot of our dishes when we are cooking. And they are things like chutneys or Chinese cookery or Italian cookery, or just adding lots of flavour. Now, I'm going to be focusing on my garlic, and we are in October and it is zone 8 in the UK. Now, there's quite a lot to be said for actually sowing and planting out your garlic when it is the winter solstice and then harvesting on the summer solstice. However, I am in October, but I'm going to get a little bit of a head start, and I don't usually like doing this, but on garlic I actually do. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sow these into cells with some nice peat-free compost, and then I'm going to pop them into an unheated greenhouse. Now, there's a few reasons for doing this. The first one really is because at this time of year I actually still have a lot of produce in my growing areas where I would actually want to be putting my garlic this year. Another reason is because our temperatures have actually been so mild, we still have an awful lot of allium leaf miner, which will affect your alliums, your garlic, your onions, as well as your ornamental alliums. And I really want to try to avoid that, and hoping that by the time the weather really turns at the end of December, when we have the winter solstice, that's actually not going to be a problem. Now, the final reason is if I actually plant them straight out as they start to grow and we get a little bit of growth on the top, hungry birds at that time of year will see these, think they're grubs, and they pull them out of the ground. So by doing it this way, I'm actually going to get a big bit of growth on the top of my garlic, and I'm going to get a really nice root system. It also means that when I come to planting them out, I can really see exactly where I have put them. So all I'm going to do very simply in these cells is I'm going to just pop in some of this peat-free compost on the top in all of the cells and get it nicely pushed down. Now, I do need to sort of fill these, and these cells are about 1.5 to 2 inches wide and about 1.5 to 2 inches in depth, and actually that's perfect. Anything smaller and you could really restrict the root growth on your garlic, and it's just not going to be big enough for the size of the bulbs. Now, when you get your garlic itself, now this is actually soft neck, and there's two different varieties, soft neck and hard neck. Now, in our climate in the UK, the soft neck is the best because it will actually cope with those more mild temperatures. It is also less likely to bolt, so if you have any hard neck garlic, it will actually throw off the seed heads or the scapes, and that actually will affect how good the quality of your cloves are. Now, I'm just going to simply pull off the top of this and then just pull the cloves out themselves. Now, quite often you will get around 11 or 12 different cloves in here. You will get some smaller ones, which may not actually be worth doing. Once I've done that, just looking at the actual cloves themselves, it doesn't matter if there's too much paper on it because it will actually degrade. You have the flat end, which is where your actual roots are going to come out. Then you have the pointy end, which is the part that you need to be sticking up. Then I'm just going to, in my cells, just with the flat end, which is where the roots are going to be, I'm just going to dib a hole with my finger, pop it in, make sure it's actually just poking out at the top as well, and I'm just going to keep on doing that. Now, once I've actually filled up all of my cell trays, as I say, I'm just going to water them in, pop them into an unheated greenhouse, and I will leave them there until around the end of December. At that point, that's when I will then plant them out, and then I will leave them to grow, and around sort of April, May time, they'll start to die off, and that's really the time where you need to be harvesting. Garlic, absolutely one of the Trinity, and if you are cooking with your produce, it is something you really need to be growing.